Hey everybody, bonus live! Because Mary Ellen had to go at 1:30, Lisa was kind enough to be like, hey, I'm getting ready to make some lunch. I'm going to come hang out with you. And if you don't know Lisa, she is at kitchen underscore plantastic.
Meow.
That was so awesome. They're like, what show are we watching right now? Middle-aged ladies get catty. So Lisa is awesome. And why don't you tell us a little bit, because the new book just came out too. Do you have it? If not, I can try and run and go find it too.
Oh yeah, no, let me grab it. So yeah, I work with some doctors, Dr. Letterman and Dr. Polday from Forks Over Knives, for a company called We Heal, and they just wrote a book that I got to contribute to called Wellness to Wonderful, and it just came out May 1st, and we are actually, so it's available on Kindle and in paperback, but we're actually working on the audiobook now, which is really great. I've really been enjoying. My husband's actually producing the audiobook, and I've been enjoying helping him proof it, because then I get to hear everything we wrote again. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Aw, way, yay!
I got it.
Yay! Yeah, so I got to contribute to it, and it's just a wonderful book. It's so simple, and it's so chock full of really great, just everyday things to make your life the best it can be. Wonderful. Uh-oh, I lost you. I don't hear you.
Sorry, I'm muted on this
That's
scene.
okay. That's okay.
One of the things that I'm gonna leave it on you while I'm reading, so they're not just seeing in my head now. But like the chapters are different than other whole food plant-based books that I've gotten before. So it's like, is your life wonderful? Is chapter 1. Getting out of survival mode, the disconnection epidemic, why doctors are teaching connection. And then there's the different pillars, and you've talked a little bit about these, but it's like self, nutrition, activity, play, sleep, family and friends, work, spirituality, natural world, and let's make life wonderful. So it actually is perfect, because today we were going to be talking a lot about mindset, and I feel like in a way this book is a lot about mindset.
Completely. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we talk about a lot, and this is, obviously Dr. Letterman and Dr. Polday, Matt and Alona, as I call them, because they're my friends. We talk a lot about how, they started this whole journey from Forks Over Knives, and with helping with a whole food plant-based diet and helping reverse disease through that. And that will always be the foundation of everything they do and we do. But they are very curious people, and they already integrated Western medicine with diet and lifestyle, and Alona's a licensed acupuncturist, so Chinese medicine plays a role. And they just were continuing to learn about all these different healing modalities, and they saw how important it was to bring some of those into their practice. And because we find is, if people come to them, and they were coming to me too when I was working with them at the Whole Foods Clinic, they wanted to change their diet, but a lot of people really struggle to make even just the smallest change, like from bacon and eggs for breakfast to oatmeal, right? And so what we found is, and some people could do it just in a day, like just, I'm going to go to the store, I'm changing everything in my fridge, and I'm 100% whole food plant-based. That was not the majority, that was the minority. And people who really, really struggle and go back and forth are typically, there's something else going on. It's not, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, a lot of people have a lot of shame. Like, I know what to do, and I've done it before, and I've fallen off the wagon, and there's a shame. And this kind of takes you out of the shame game and helps you to look at where in your life you're under-resourced, and filling those needs to be able to do these other things that you really want to do in your life, that you really want to change in your life. So it's just, there's so much in this book. It's about self-connection, connecting with those around you. And it all ties in together. Like, if you're, we kind of already know that if, like, if you don't get enough sleep, you tend to like eat junk food, right? Or if you're stressed out, like you'll grab a donut instead of a salad or whatever. And there's a reason for that. And it's not because you're bad, and it's not because you're wrong. It's you're filling some other need. And so the book gets into all these things.
I'm super excited about it. And I was super excited when you sent it to me, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's perfect for some of the stuff. And actually, you talking about shame and things like that, because I think sometimes with mindset, when you make these goals, like be it about health, weight loss, nutrition, clutter, any goal, if you don't meet that goal or you don't feel like you're making progress quick enough, there is a lot of shame. And that is a good way to think about it.
Yeah, and I think also that we have so much information coming at us and so many images coming at us of how we're supposed to look or how we're supposed to be, but this really takes it to you and the individual and what your needs are and what's right for you in a healthy way. And I think that there's a lot to unpack with for everyone who's struggling, especially if you have the information. It's not a weakness in you. That's the main thing. And also, it's not a weakness, and a lot of people think that they lack willpower, they're weak or whatever, and it's not that at all. Like, this book will help you see that has nothing to do with it. It helps you to take back your power and what's important to you and how you're feeling. I don't know. There's just so much in it. It's hard for me to summarize. Matt and Ilona could probably summarize it better. Oop, I lost you again. Hello.
Shoot. Sorry, I keep muting to make sure everybody can hear you well, and then I forget. So.
Oh, I should probably put my earpods on.
I think it's really good because one of the reasons I pointed out it was different than some of the other books, because it's not full of pictures and lots of recipes. So at first it might be something that you're like, I probably know all that. But I think this is different stuff, like some of the nutritional stuff, but like talking about play. And like, actually, I just came to the check-in meter.
I love those.
And it's like, from 1 to 10. 10 is my body, and my mind and body are jumping all around. 1 is my mind and body are calm, peaceful, and open. And there's all these different ones. My mind is busy and my body is tense. I'm often
this is
there.
Something, I have to say, this is something that I've really been learning with working with Matt and Ilona, is just being able to stop for a moment and check in with myself, because that's not something I'm used to doing. I'm like, doing my thing. But like, when you do, or you have a reaction to something, it's really great if you can see, like, how am I feeling right now? Is that making me feel tense? Do I feel relaxed? And, and then figuring out why you're reacting that way. But I also wanted to say, for those of you interested in nutrition or exercise, I got to work on those chapters along with the play chapter and the sleep chapter. And it was really fun. But there are things in there that I think that most of us don't think about, that you'll be like, aha, that makes complete sense. So it's an approach that's meant to be very practical and accessible. And I think it is. I think they and we have succeeded.
I think it's a great book, and I haven't read all of it yet, but I am going to be. I can
all right,
tell
there'll
you.
be a test, so you better get on that.
I got to write my report. And so, like, another thing in here, it's like connection and like needs, acceptance, belonging, kindness, mourning, autonomy, order. I love autonomy because from 2020, we all live together. So autonomy, noticing autonomy in these needs is very interesting for me, because that's something I say a lot. And sometimes that just means I need to not hear the dog whining. I need to not have my thoughts interrupted. Like, it's not that Cheryl is doing anything wrong, and I've told her that before, but I think it was yesterday I was outside trying to work, and I know my brain is really easily distracted lately. So if it's important, like, the house is on fire, you need to leave, then yes, that's good. But if it's like, I don't know what we should have for dinner tonight, now is not the time. So
Yeah.
I like that. There gives you some different things to think about. So what are we making for lunch?
And even better is a way to communicate that in a very connected way that doesn't make the other person feel like they're doing something wrong. It's about you expressing your need and they getting their need met at the same time. It's really cool. It's all stems from Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication. And I was just talking to a friend and saying, man, I wish I had this information when I was a teenager. Like I watched Matt and Alona raising their kids with everything that's in the book, and it's incredible. Like the way their kids are able to express themselves is like a whole different ball game than when I was growing up. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just very excited because like right now too, as I'm trying to make some shifts and changes and also trying to make space in my community for other people who are, shifting and changing, and us all creating that support for one another. So you have to tell us what you're making too, because Lisa also, I sent out the bat signal and Lisa replied when Rachel wasn't able to do my live. And so she's like,
signal, I love it.
We should think of I sent out the avocado signal, the kale signal. Yeah, we got to think of something good.
I love that.
And she came in, she's like, well, I have to eat lunch anyhow. And I'm like, that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about what you're making for your lunch off the top of your head without any planning.
Yeah. So the other day, I'm teaching weekly classes at We Heal on Zoom. You can buy a package of classes. And I decided, since they're monthly, like there's 4 weeks each, you buy a 4-week pack. I'm like, day 1 we'll do breakfast, day 2 we'll do lunch, day 3 we'll do dinner, and day 4 we'll do snacks and dessert. So my last class this Monday was lunch. And so I thought sandwiches will be great. So I made mayonnaise, which is one of the recipes on our website, it's got cashews and silken tofu, some chia. I think I made it. Yeah, I made it.
You did make it here.
For the barbecue class. So anyway,
so if you look at the plant-based chats, you can find her recipe too. But go to weheal.health to get the full recipes too.
Yeah, you have to go to the resources, and the recipes are under resources. But anyway, so I made this on your show too. So I already had it. And so one of the things I made chickpea tuna salad, and then I made Lauren Bernick's wonderful tofu chicken salad with grapes in it, which I want to talk about, because then when I was buying the ingredients for that, I saw they had chickpea tofu, and I'd never tried it before.
Oh.
So I got the regular tofu, and I got the chickpea tofu, and I made 2 versions of it. Man, I love the chickpea tofu. So guess what I did last night? I made my own.
Because I was going to say, it's so easy to make. It's almost like you're making grits, because I'm a Southerner. It's easy.
So easy, right? Yeah. But you know what I did, though? Instead of making it with the flour, I saw some other recipes for making the silken version. So I soaked chickpeas overnight, and then I drained them, and I blended them with water completely, and then put them through a milk bag into a pan and stirred it with some turmeric and a pinch of salt. And that got really thick. And so it's in my fridge waiting to be used. So you can also do it that way. You don't have to have chickpea flour, which was cool. Oh,
and Sandra just said, your friends coming to your rescue just shows you how much you are loved, which is such a wonderful message.
So true.
That's just so awesome. So thank you, Sandra. I was talking earlier about every time I change scenes, I keep muting it in every scene. I'm so sorry. So earlier today, I was talking to, because I was just cranky and irritable. And I was like, you know what? If you're going to be like this, I talked to myself like I was a teenager. You can just start decluttering. So I got in 2.5 miles of walking, decluttering the house and lifting and all this stuff. Because I'm like, in my head going, man, me, like you caused all this, blah, blah, blah. And so today other than being sore from doing that and a 3-mile walk,
Wow.
it kind of cleared up. And then I walked up the stairs and I'm like, oh, I can eat at the dining room table today. This is so exciting.
I love decluttering. Well, I want to go back to that comment. And it's absolutely 110% true. When I saw your email, I'm like, oh, I get to see Kathy and I get to hang out with her. If I have the opportunity to do that, you bet I'm going to do it. So, hi, Kathy, hug.
Oh, hug to you too. You are just so the sweetest.
Oh man, we talk about this all the time, that we need to be in the same city so we can actually hang out in person.
I know. I would love just taking a walk with you. I think we would have so many fascinating things to talk about because
I think we're going to have the opportunity to do that at some point.
I think so too. Ooh, what's in there? And you have to show us your homemade chickpea tofu too. Can I see it?
I will. Okay. Oh yeah, let me grab it.
Because I'm all kinds of nosy.
So I'm going to make it, I want to make it with the way you were talking about with the flour too, because I think it makes a firmer tofu, although this is pretty firm.
Yeah, and it looks a lot like polenta. Oh,
it
hey,
does.
Apple. I'm glad that you came by and said hi to us.
Here, I'm going to take this out of the container. Let's see what it looks like. So yeah, and the longer you cook it, the firm. So if you want real soft silken tofu, you just wouldn't cook it as long. But I wanted it a little firmer. Look at that.
It's beautiful.
And it cost
it's
pennies
so
to make.
cheap.
Like when I bought it at the store, it was like $5, and this was just a cup of chickpeas.
It's truly amazing. Like I know that sometimes we have more time or money and not often both at the same time. But like
yes.
doing the chickpea tofu with just the flour, with chickpea flour, and I've even made it with toasted chickpea flour that I got at the Indian market.
Ooh.
And it's kind of like cooking grits or polenta. And then so in the South with grits, we will take leftover grits and put them in a pan like that and cut them and grill them. Or pan fry them.
Wait, there's a name for that. I
Grit
used to make
cakes?
it. That's a scrapple? Scrapple. I think it's somewhere in the South they call it scrapple.
Scrapple
right?
is animal pieces and parts. That isn't a thing.
But right, when I made it with seitan pieces in it. With the grits.
Oh, okay. So you made scrapple with seitan. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love grits though.
Oh, they're so good. But because tofu can be expensive. I've been making my own soy milk again all the time. And so you end up with a lot of okara, which is just the stuff that you strain out. But I've been making Ninja Creamy pints with it, with the okara.
I saw that on your...
So good. I haven't done a video yet. And then like last night when I had my friend over, I had made some soy milk. So I just took the okara, and the Mia Mat makes it real silky, and put some nutritional yeast, a little bit of lactic acid, a little bit of salt. You could put some, like lemon juice in there, and I made a ricotta that I put on the pasta.
Oh man, that sounds amazing.
And it's just leftover stuff.
I love that.
And it's so
using the whole thing.
Right. And like using the stems of mushrooms for mushroom powder, using your flour to make this tofu. And I want to make it the way you made it too, because I haven't made it that way yet. And I think there's a way, and I'm going to be experimenting with some different things making actual tofu too. And I think you can make actual tofu process with like you do with soybeans and the coagulant and everything, but I haven't done it yet.
So you make your soy milk in a milk machine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you could probably do this chickpea tofu using the beans the same way that you make your tofu.
I think you're right. And maybe that would be fun to do because I like the Mia Mat. The Mia Mat is made a lot like the Soy Joya, so it does not have a basket and you need to strain it. but you're not limited at how much soybeans you can put in. So the reason I wanted this to begin with and have not tested is that I can make as rich a milk in it to make tofu. So that's
I am
the goal.
so sad I gave away my soya joya. I might have to get another one. Hey, so I have a question about the chickpea tofu. Do you have a favorite? Once you make it, do you have a favorite recipe you use it for?
I've used it in a lot of things. There was a restaurant a friend took me to in Massachusetts, and it's often called Burmese tofu.
Yes, yes.
Which makes me wonder, is there not some Burmese recipes specifically for it? But I haven't researched it. But I've used it in stir fries. And it's a delicious texture. So it's not like, to me, compared to polenta, it's a much silkier texture. Wouldn't you say?
Very silky. Yeah, you know what? You just gave me an idea, because I posted the tofu chicken salad recipe that Lauren had shared with me. I had eaten dinner at her house, and I was like, oh, this is good. Can I teach this in my class? She's like, sure. So I posted it on the We Heal website under recipes, but I have to amend it now and say you could also do it with chickpea tofu, because I actually loved it. It was great with the tofu, the soy tofu, but with the chickpea tofu, it was like even better. So let me tell you what I'm cooking.
And another name for it is Shan, S-H-A-N tofu. And so while you're doing this, I'm going to look through and see if I can find some authentic recipes or not.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So what I'm making today is a DTLA, and that doesn't mean downtown Los Angeles. So when I was in college and first went plant-based, excuse me, I was macrobiotic. So, excuse me, macrobiotic is pretty much whole food plant-based with some variations. It's a little more limiting. But anyway, that's where I first learned about whole grains, legumes, and seaweeds. And one of the seaweeds I learned about was Dulse, which I'm showing you here. And Dulse comes, I've got this Atlantic brand, and it comes in, it's like leaves. It's like dried leaves of Dulse seaweed. And it's red. It's loaded with iron.
It's pretty.
It's got a lot of iron and minerals. Yeah, it's like the color of beets. Anyway, so you can buy it like this, but you can also buy it, let me see. Let me look. So I use these for my chickpea tuna salad, the kelp granules, but this company also makes Dulse granules. But for what I'm making today, I'm actually using the whole Dulse. And it's very soft. It's like sort of like a dried lettuce. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry toast it in my nonstick skillet. And I'm going to make a BLT sandwich with avocado. And because the Dulse, when it gets crispy when you dry saute it, and then it's a little salty because it's a seaweed, and it gets like a smoky flavor. And so you'll see, but the main thing is when you're cooking it, and I know it might sound weird to some people, like seaweed, ew, weird, but it's so good for you, and it tastes really good.
I saw, and I don't think it was Dulse, but a different seaweed that they were talking about a year or two ago that tastes like bacon. That was
I saw that too.
I haven't had it.
I never had it either. I wasn't able to find it, but I live now near a lot of Asian markets, so I should probably look for it, but I'll have to figure out what it was called. But this, and I remember looking at it because I thought, oh, I wonder if they're talking about Dulse, and I don't think it was. So you could do this in the oven too, but you'd have to stand in front of your oven and make sure, because it'll burn very quickly. So basically, I'm dry sauteing it until it changes color, and you can hear it in the pan getting crispy. And you can get Dulse at most health food stores. And ours, oh, who's that? Who is that?
That's Fergus. Fergus, come back over here. Come here.
Aw,
Kitty.
hi, Fergus.
Come here where people can see you.
Yeah, her guest canceled, and I said, oh, I'm about to make home shell hot pot.
Oh, terrific.
David's here.
Hello.
My tech guy.
Hi,
Here.
David.
And look,
This
I'm
is
doing it without my tech guy.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's awesome. I have my guy here, but he wants his belly rubbed.
Aw. I'm jealous. I want to be rubbing a kitty belly right now.
Oh,
Okay,
he's
see,
got.
That's right. That makes Rob robots.
Oh yeah, I've trained David to make his own overnight oats, which we don't call them overnight oats anymore. We just call them oats because we usually make them and then eat them right away. So that's what he's doing. He's making his own.
That's awesome. And actually, Carlene, and I can't say her last name because that's a very long name, but I could try. Scruber Steel says smoked dulse is what they were talking about for the bacon.
What was it?
Smoked,
What's it called?
Smoked dulse.
Oh, well then I guess I'm already on it.
You are.
Because this is, I guess, because it does get smoky when you dry toast it, and yeah, that's cool. I guess you could probably buy it smoked. I've never seen it. I'll have to look for that. But anyway, so I'm dry. Thank you for that. Thank you very much because I'm gonna now.
We
look
could
for that.
smoke it. I'll see if I can
Yes.
get some big ones like you have, because like that's one of the things that we were gonna do at some point is smoke all the things.
Oh, yo, you've got to invite me to that one because I want to see you smoke the dulse. Because I wonder, yeah, because you wouldn't burn it because it's just the smoke that's infusing it, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really use a lot of heat. I mean, it does get heated, but it shouldn't burn.
Maine Coast Sea Vegetables used to sell one. I haven't seen it in a while, but you can get it online if you can't find it in the store. And the main thing is when you're making bacon out of it is you just have to be careful that you don't burn it. And mine's already getting crispy, so I'm just about ready. And I have some toast. Do you want me to make you a sandwich?
Oh, I'm just, I mean, go ahead and make it. I just oatmeal, but
David, of course, loves Dave's killer bread, and I like the sesame Ezekiel bread, so that's what I toasted for myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is my favorite. You know, I like the toasted, the sesame Ezekiel because when you toast it, it kind of has a bacony flavor from the toasted sesame seeds too, so it's good for this. Okay, so my dulse is ready, and now I'm gonna layer up my bread. So typically, when I would make it, if I didn't have the homemade mayonnaise, I didn't even worry about it. I would just put on avocado because it's, to me, such a great whole food mayonnaise substitute because it's got a great texture and it's got a little fat in it, and you could season it. So if you don't have mayo, you can still make this. The avocado is the part that's gonna do the trick.
And I've made an avocado mayo before just by blending it and a little silken tofu. Kind of the same thing you do, like using it instead of cashews for people who can't have nuts.
Yeah. I bet you could probably just add like lemon juice, onion, garlic, maybe a little vinegar. Okay, so I've got that, and then let me get my lettuce. Hang on. I was wondering, I'm getting on a plane later. I've got to go back to Austin, and I always like to bring my own sandwich. And I was wondering if I could make something with my chickpea tofu for a sandwich, other than I already made the chicken salad, but could I maybe just slice it and do something with it? What do you think?
I bet you could.
Just cook it in some seasoning sliced?
Yeah, because a long time ago when I lived in New Orleans, so this was 15, 20 years ago, they used to have tofu that had herbs in it. So you could get herb de Provence tofu and stuff like that. And I was thinking that would be fun to do, make an ancho chili tofu.
Ooh.
But I could see
I like tofu bacon. I wonder if you can make tofu bacon with the chickpea.
I would think so. I would think it would get pretty crispy if you slice it really thin.
Yeah, so I'm putting on my Dulse bacon that's nice and crispy now. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's nice and crispy. And then I'm going to put on my mayonnaise since I have it. the other side. And my neighbor gave me some Roma tomatoes. So I sliced those up. And what I always do, I don't know if you do this, you probably do. When I put tomatoes on a sandwich, I always pat them on paper towels to get some of the water out so they don't make my sandwich mushy.
Oh, that's a good idea. The other thing I've heard is to put it on, like, so the bread, then a layer of mayonnaise, and then your tomatoes, and it won't soak through because of the mayonnaise.
So it's in between. Oh, that's a good idea.
Because, like, oh, I think the mailman's
You've got all
here.
the animals talking to you.
But because we eat tomato sandwiches here. I don't know if you ate those in Texas. So I actually just got a whole bunch of different dwarf tomatoes. There's a guy in Raleigh that experiments with all these different hybrids and varieties and stuff. And so last year I had a chocolate
Wow, so what do you put
Tasmanian.
on? Ooh, my favorites are Cherokees. Can you grow Cherokees there?
Yes, and actually that's from my area. They're just good. I like those big, ugly heirlooms that are super juicy.
The Tasmanian chocolate one, that sounds really interesting because someone had given me seeds for some kind of chocolate tomatoes, but I wasn't able to grow them in Austin. I don't know why. Are they dark colored like chocolate? Is that why they're called that?
They are dark colored, and it's like a dwarf plant, so it grew really well in container. Like I had a purple, and I had a German Johnson, which is another one that grows well here. But last year was not a good year for tomatoes. I don't know if it was too humid or too hot. So when I'm on my side camera view, you guys can see sometimes my little herb garden that's under a tree off the kitchen. But on the deck, it's like full sun most of the day. So like sometimes the tomatoes even are like, it's
nice.
just too hot. And so if it gets,
wow. Yeah, in Austin, in Austin, I have a herb garden. There's my sandwich. Here, let me cut it. I have an herb garden, like, so whenever I cook, I just go out in my backyard and I have pots with lots of herbs growing and some irrigation. And so here in San Francisco, I was like, I'm in an apartment, but we get a lot of sun. So I posted on my Buy Nothing group saying, hey, does anybody have any extra pots or any, things that they want to get rid of? I want to start a garden. And sure enough, a bunch of people were like, I've got pots, I've got soil, I've got seeds. And so I just started my herb garden in pots here.
oh, that's so exciting. Do you have a balcony or? Oh, that looks so
I have. It's so good. No, we have a yard that I can put the pots. There's like a cement wall I can put them on. But right now, because the front of our apartment gets so much sun during the day, I actually, I cut my head off. I have them in the window of my office for now. And then what I want to get, which a lot of people have here, they have these big flower boxes outside their window. So I thought if I got that, then it would be super easy just to have them there and open the window and water them.
Oh, that's a great idea. And it's just like, I have some,
take a bite.
yeah. And then when you have beautiful herbs, like you can add herbs to your mayonnaise straight from there. You can make a basil, pesto chickpea salad, or Burmese tofu salad or something like that.
Well, and also, you can take your mayonnaise base, thin it with some plant milk, and put in dill and parsley and celery seed and make ranch dressing, right?
Oh, what a great idea. Yeah. Because once you have, like I have some friends, and I find it very odd because they don't like the white foods. They're like, it's white. And I'm like, so, okay, so nothing sour cream, mayonnaise, ranch, vegan or not. And I find that I just find it odd. Because
that could be a texture. Maybe it's a texture thing. You think? Maybe they have do they like ice cream? Do they eat white ice cream?
Ice cream, plant milk, cereal they'll eat. But it's just like this aversion, and like yogurt, none of that stuff is okay. So, but I love it because like I especially love yogurt, and I always keep unsweetened yogurt because what I'll do, if I don't feel like blending a bunch of stuff up, I'll just mix in some lemon juice, a little bit of vinegar, some salt. There's my mayonnaise, there's my dressing base, there's everything.
Oh, great idea. Great idea. Also for oil-free baking, right?
It's a great oil
yogurt?
substitute. And it's, it's not cheap,
when
though.
I was a kid.
That thing, it seems like vegan yogurt is getting more and more expensive, so I need to probably do some. When I'm being good, I have not lately. When I'm being good, I go ahead and I just make it in the Instant Pot. So you can make some soy milk, and it does better with soy if you're making it at home because it needs some protein to culture well. I've seen some other recipes for almond that I want to try, but you can't use almond milk. So I have a friend who blends almonds in water and uses that to culture, but doesn't strain it. What do you make yogurt out of?
I don't know if mine. Well, I don't have like a yogurt maker. I have an Instapot. I'll have to get that recipe from you because I haven't tried the Instapot for anything like that. My mom, when I was a kid, she had a yogurt maker. It was like these ceramic containers on a thing. Like I don't even know how it worked, but I've made it. I think it came out really good. I made it with cashews, and I also made it with tofu. And you add the probiotics and stuff in it, and then you just put a cheesecloth on top, kind of like when you're making sauerkraut. And I would put it on top of my refrigerator and just leave it for a few days, and it came out pretty good. Like the longer you leave it out, the more sour it gets.
That's interesting. And I've made it with a probiotic. I also have some vegan culture, and you can use some vegan yogurt. I found that Nancy's seemed to be a stronger one to start. And now we can't find Nancy's as much here. But pretty much what I do, so on all the Instant Pot models except the Luxe, like the one, so the Luxe one didn't have a fermentation or a yogurt setting. And it's a yogurt setting. So there's usually, you press the button more than once, different things happen on your Instant Pot. So one, it will sterilize if you made homemade milk.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of don't want to do that. So the easiest way to make soy milk is to get a container of soy milk like Trader Joe's, West Soy, something that's just soybeans, water, and maybe a little bit of salt, but not much else. And you put it in with a probiotic capsule or a yogurt starter or a tablespoon of yogurt. And you don't have to sterilize it because it's already been sterilized, right? And so that's the cheater way. And you can go ahead and put it in like smaller mason jars and it'll appear thicker than because it's kind of loosey-goosey. You can strain it through like a Greek yogurt strainer. Okay. But then that ends up being a lot of work for like a cup and a half of really thick yogurt, and it makes me feel like I've done something bad. So.
But does it get thick from the soy milk?
Yeah, it gets pretty thick. So different people have different results. Sometimes if you culture it longer, it'll start to separate. Usually I culture it around 9 or 10 hours. So I'll put it in at night and then I just pull it out. You can also, with store-bought already sterilized milk, if it's got something like pea protein in it, like Ripple, a lot of the brands have pea protein because it's actually the protein that cultures, which is why you can't culture with store-bought almond milk.
Oh,
there's nothing to make the stuff. Now, that's not to say you can't do it because you could probably do it with tofu like you were talking about. You could probably do it.
Well, what's interesting to me about the almond milk is I was able to make it with cashews where you blend up the cashews. Like starting with like a cashew cream, but you couldn't do that with almonds because unless you blanched them first, probably, right? You'd have to get the skins off.
That's true too. Yeah, you could use blanched almonds. Somebody's delivering something, so like there is no life-threatening things happening as it may sound like.
I want to know what you're getting in the mail. I'm always excited when I'm like,
I got earlier a print of this signed from the store.
Oh,
that was
I love
Cheryl's mom gives me birthday money.
I'm sorry. He's just got the truck parked.
Okay, I understand. Cheryl's like, I'm not sure what's going on, but it's all okay.
It's real life.
It is real life. And you guys are hanging out with me in my kitchen and with Lisa in her kitchen. And this is the way life goes. Husbands come in and eat.
My kitchen's dirty because I didn't know I was going to be on your live.
I don't think it's dirty at all.
dishes
I'm just glad
away.
to like hang out with you. But like, yeah, and Max, you're not helping anybody. Hear him.
He's like, I'm doing my job.
I know. He's like, cut that out.
Aw.
Why don't
He's
you
like, I'm
talk for a
protecting-
minute?
I'm protecting you.
I'm going to leave it just for you to talk for a second while you like, oh, wait, okay, he's out of the house at least. I appreciate you just coming on to chat with me and hang out
Thank
and
you
make
so much.
lunch. Again,
Thank you.
I'm only slightly miffed that I am also not having lunch with you, and that looked delicious. And I've never heard of doing seaweed like bacon like that, so it's blowing my mind, and I've got to go get it. And if I can't get it online, I might be able to find some we've got some great Asian markets nearby, and that might be a good way. And maybe we need to, after we do barbecue seasoning, seasoning, maybe we'll have to talk some fermentation. I would love to try, see your cashew yogurt or something too, and talk more about that.
I think it would be more giving me private fermentation lessons, because I don't really know how to do. The only things I made are yogurt in a jar and like sauerkraut. Same way on the refrigerator with the cheesecloth on top. So I would love to learn some of how you actually really make fermented products.
Well, and I make baby ferment. Like I do yogurt. I'm trying to think, do I ferment anything else? Oh, I ferment dosa batter. I do ferment dosa batter.
Oh.
So
No, I tried to make my dosa batter and it didn't come out so good.
the easiest way.
I don't know
Okay,
why.
this is not the
Okay.
only way. So I make one with
Okay.
and it's like 1 cup of brown rice. Everything's 1 cup. Brown rice, millet, quinoa, oradal, and 5 cups of water. Soak overnight, or however you do it. Blend it well. And sometimes if I want to speed it up, I'll put it in the Vitamix, start blending it, let it soak a little bit, blend a little bit more, let it soak a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then because traditionally it's made with this special grinder, wet grinder, which I don't have, but it works okay in a Vitamix. And then I put it in my Instant Pot, and I ferment it overnight just on the yogurt setting, and it's always the same because it's so consistent.
Do I have a yogurt setting?
Let's see.
I do. I have a yogurt setting.
Well, and if you go
I'll have to try
to
that.
plantbasedinstantpot.com, I've got my dosa recipe there. And
Oh, great.
basically the story of the dosa recipe is as they had a whole grain dosa batter at the small Indian market that I shop at. And she was getting to know me, and finally I put it down. She's like, you know, you can make that at home yourself. And I was
Wow.
like, it's time. So there's
That's pretty cool, because instead of just making you buy it, she's telling you can actually make it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, and it's wonderful. And the thing is, it's like, and actually, because I knew I was going to be busy, I actually made some jars of half portions of them and whole portions, just everything measured out. So like, and now I'm hungry because I haven't eaten yet today. And I'm like, maybe dosa batter should get ready for tomorrow. And so I'll just pour it in, it'll all be measured out. Chef Val is hanging out with us and says that she makes fermented foods often, and she has a sourdough starter in her fridge and loves to make sourdough pizza crust. And let's see, is it over here? I got some gluten-free sourdough starter. I know you can be grown up and not, and it's Oh, you can't see that at all. There we go. Gluten free.
I can see it.
It's Cultures for Health. And this is where I get my vegan yogurt starter a lot of times. And you can use it several times. So then you can take a tablespoon for the one you used. And I think eventually it weakens. But
So wait, you can use that for yogurt too, not just bread?
no, just the company makes
Oh.
one. But I want to
got
make
it.
this.
Okay.
I haven't done sourdough, and there is actually a vegan gluten-free sourdough group on Facebook that talks you through making it. And obviously, I'm doing so much with that since I haven't done it.
Well, I went through a sourdough phase. I learned how to make it during the lockdown, made it every other day, and I haven't made it since. But I wanted to reply to the comment that sourdough pizza crust is my favorite.
Ooh. I'm thinking it could be
Yeah.
fun because, like, I'm really trying not to go to restaurants for a bunch of reasons. One, because like it seems like you can make anything at home. Like this is not true. So realize this and don't outtake this. But it seems like you could eat a spoonful of coconut oil and it would be like you're eating an apple. Because like I could eat pizza at home. I can eat French fries at home. I can eat any of these foods that if I go out and eat out that I'm going to feel not as good. It just doesn't work. So it's like so weird to me that you can make it home and just make anything.
Well, what I love about what you're doing is that you make it accessible to do that and make it, less intimidating. So I appreciate that because I think we need more of that in the world because a lot of people don't, they're intimidated to try to make their own. And once they see someone like you demonstrating it, they're like, oh, I can do that, So, and I think that's important.
I agree. And I think things are a lot easier. Most things are easier than we think it is. And you
Yeah.
have to get through arguing with yourself in your head. I do the same thing. So I will tell you, oh, I know all these things. And then it'll be like dinner time. I'm like, I don't want to make anything. Blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, ooh, I have tempeh bolognese sauce in the freezer. Score.
Well,
So
yeah, I'll do that. I'll be like, I want to make lemon bars, for example. But I think about it and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like it. And then when I finally do it, I'm like, what was I putting that off for? It wasn't that hard.
right. And I think that happens a lot of times. Like we think these things are so hard and like, if we had, sometimes I think about having all that time back, all the things I could have done with that time instead of whining. And I think it's human nature. And I think it's just going ahead and just bursting through that. Now, a couple things. Colleen says she tried to make a dosa, but doesn't have a flat pan. Now, and it hasn't worked out. I use just a big saute pan that does have a rounded. I have a pancake pan too. But what I do, and maybe we'll do this at some point. Let's see, do I have, of course I don't have it. Oh, here we go. So I
Could
take
you make
this,
it on like a pancake griddle? You can probably do it on
you
a
totally
pancake
can.
griddle.
So like if it's here, and I just won't take it all the way out to the edges. So I put a little bit of batter in. And this is just the scoop that came with one of my Instant Pots. And I take the batter and you spread it out like this, right, into a circle until it's as thin as you can get it. But they can be smaller. Like there's one restaurant near us that has tabletop ones. They're like 3 feet
They're
long.
gigantic. I know. They're
And I'm like, I
they're
don't think.
so good. I
Oh,
love them.
and don't forget, the same batter that makes dosas makes utapams. And utapams are the best because they're a pancake.
Yeah.
So what I do is I shred up a bunch of carrots, cabbage, maybe chop up some onions, put some cilantro in a thing. So I usually make a batch and I'll eat on it all week. And then so you start cooking the pancake, which is much less tedious than doing a dosa. You're going to win. You're going to win the Utapam game. You put all your stuff on the top. When it starts to bubble, you turn it over, and then those veggies get a little bit seared. So that's what I would say.
Well, I want to say, I'm going to look at your recipe because when I made my dosa batter, I have a friend who's an Indian vegetarian chef and cooking teacher, and she brought me a dosa pan back from India, and she gave me her dough, which was fantastic, and I was able to make them. But then when I tried to make my own dough, it was a different recipe. It wasn't hers, and I just used the urad dal. It didn't have anything else in it, and I don't know what went wrong.
Ooh.
It just never came together. So
There
I
was
wanna
no
let people-
rice. It was just uradal.
It might have been rice and urad dal.
Okay, because that's the
But, yeah.
traditional way.
Yeah. I think
Um,
it was rice and urad dal, and that was it.
Okay, and sometimes it depends on how the fermentation went. The reason, obviously, Instant Pots didn't exist when dosas were happening, and a lot of people will put their dosa batter in the oven, turned off with the light bulb on to ferment it, like in the winter. Mine gets really hot. I tried to do that with when I was making tempeh a while back, and it was too hot. I put a thermometer in there.
Oh, interesting.
So, so you can try that. What I like about doing yogurt and other stuff in the Instant Pot is it just keeps it the same temperature the whole time, making fermentation easy.
Yeah.
And Chef Al says, my sourdough starter is made with organic einkorn. Is that how you say it? Einkorn?
Oh, einkorn flour. I love einkorn flour. I've got
And
two
so,
bags of it.
so it's not gluten-free. A gluten-free sourdough starter would be interesting and great to learn. And so there, I think if you look up gluten-free sourdough, that group comes up. And it was actually Marilyn, one of my students, who recommended it to me.
I think I've heard though that a lot of people who are gluten intolerant can actually eat regular sourdough because of the fermentation. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but I think for some people. Have you heard that?
I have, and I'm experimenting. So I can eat a little bit of wheat. So like I can have something with wheat in it about once a month and not, because my joints swell up.
Oh, interesting.
They think because I have Graves' disease that often makes people more gluten intolerant.
Absolutely.
But like if I had something out of a shared fryer or a gluten-free cupcake out of a regular bakery, it doesn't bother me at all. So I'm not
Right, like if you got
celiac.
gluten-free rolled oats, you'd be fine. I mean, if they weren't gluten-free rolled oats, you'd be fine.
Yes, that doesn't bother me at all. And it's interesting trying the things but yeah, and gluten-free vegan bread is A, sometimes hard to come by, B, so expensive. A little bitty thing can be $8.
Also, oftentimes, not Food for Life. I like Food for Life spreads, but oftentimes those gluten-free breads just have a laundry list of things I've never even heard of, like all kinds of processed things. So I don't like to buy them for that reason. I like the Food for Life ones, but you can't eat them, like you have to warm them up because otherwise they're hard as a rock.
There's Little Northern Bakehouse is pretty good, but it is very high starch. So again, I'm not saying not like starch like whole potatoes, whole food plant-based diet, but like potato starch will be the first ingredient.
Right.
Not
right.
potatoes, potato starch, and then there'll be corn starch
And tapioca flour and yeah.
And so sometimes that's doesn't always set so well with me. And CJ saying we need a fermenting class.
Yay! Yes.
I have fermenting books, so I guess that means I have to learn how to ferment so I can teach everybody. Like I just know the little things I do, and it is very sad. I have made oat yogurt, and it's
wow.
Yeah. So in the Outrageous Oats book, I made oat milk, strained it, then cooked it on the stove with a whisk because it's still going to thicken up some, so that I can sterilize it, right? So it gets up to that temperature, then you let it get down to the other temperature, then you put the culture in, and you culture it, and it's very thick. It's almost as thick as like a pudding.
Well, I want you to do a fermentation class for sure, and I will be definitely there, very excited to learn from you. I just noticed the time. I have to get ready to go to the airport.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. You're just the best.
Oh, Kathy, thank you for inviting me, and I will join you anytime I can, because I just love hanging out with you, and I also learn so much from you. And you're just such a joy. Thank you.
Well, you are too. And have a delightful, event-free trip. And I will talk to you very soon. And thanks, guys,
Thank you.
for coming in on the Surprise Lisa Live. We are so glad that you came.
I'll see you on the 23rd for our next barbecue class.
Yay.
Yay!
Bye, everybody.
Everyone. Bye, everyone.